Wednesday to Monday.
Frantically looking how to get himself out of the situation.
Well, what did you hear there?
I was learning they were finishing up the mitzvah of the day. Today was Lifnei Iver, then the Azav Tovov, and Prika and Te'ina. No, but the Lifnei Iver went back to what we talked about yesterday, because the exam.
Right. No, but this is a big topic. We only touch them. But...
Good morning, Larry.
What?
Everybody. Good to see everybody on this difficult day, unfortunately.
You have to be on the plane, but many vacations has to be in my house. 15 million people come to visit New York every year. They fly from Los Angeles to New York. I am in New York. They save the trip. Instead of going to Los Angeles and coming to New York. At your age, I did the same. People think it's psychology. It's everything, whatever you put in your head. Let's look at that. A very big topic has to do with this week's parasha. Look at Masechet Pesachim. Everyone has a Pesachim in front of him.
Oh boy.
Daf Nun Gimal Amud Bet. Nun Gimal Amud Bet. You have the Gemara Pesachim in front of you. Look at my finger. It's in the middle of the narrow line. It's Tashma. The first word in the line is a grofim.
The grofim.
Thank you. Tashma, od zu darash todos ish romi. The Gemara wants to clarify, was this man, was a doctor, and he made a halachic statement, was he a scholar or not? So the Gemara is bringing this, od zu darash todos ish romi. מה ראו חנניה, מישאל ועזריה שמסרו עצמם על קדושת השם. I was looking for a Sefer Ezra and Nehemiah, maybe tomorrow read it. Inside, anyway, Nebuchadnezzar made a huge idol, yes?
4-faced statue.
And he commanded that 3 representatives of every nation, including the Jews, the 3 that he chose from the Jews are Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, who basically were very close to him. When you hear the bells, when you hear the music, everyone has to bow down. מה ראו חנניה, מישאל ועזריה שמסרו עצמם על קדושת השם? And of course they refused to do it. They were thrown into the furnace of fire and they were saved. This is text. Listen what inspired them. נסעו קל וחומר מצפרדעים. This week's parasha, the frogs. ומה הצפרדעים? שאין מצווים על קדושת השם. Remember, there are millions and millions of little frogs, whatever they are. If the frogs or not is a different question. Yeah? But let's assume it's frogs, and they are commanded, go everywhere, even the ovens, even the stomach of people, even the bedroom. It's much nicer to go into the bedroom than to go into a hot furnace. ומה הצפרדעים שאין מצווים על קדושת השם? כתיב בהו. The pasuk says, ועלו, ובאו ועלו בביתך ותנוריך. The pasuk openly says, yes, your house, your ovens, משערותיך. אימתי משערות מצויות אצל תנור? When do you have this special, bowl?
Mixing bowl, I think.
Mixing bowl is משערותם. Yeah, משערותם צרורות בסמלותם. Remember when they called the מצרים? הווה אומר בשעה שהתנור חם. Without going into details, which is fascinating anyway, Tzfardei A can say, why should I go into the oven? I can go this, I can go. They went, no questions. Anu, we, Shemitzuvim al Kedushat Hashem, we are human beings. We are obligated to sanctify the name of Hashem. Alachat Kama V'Kama, a very famous Gemara being discussed in many places. So look at the Rashi before we go to Safot. The Rashi is the second white line. Second white line on the bottom. Marahu שלא דרשו וחי בהם ולא שימות בהם. Here it is. The Pasuk says, אלה המצוות אשר יעשה אותם האדם וחי בהם. The mitzvot were given to live by, not to die by. So why did they choose to die and not to survive and bow down? They learned it from the Tzfadim. This is the way Rashi learns. Which is, of course, a very difficult interpretation. Why? Look at Tosafot at the top right, and look at Tosafot the second Tosafot. Ma ra'u Hananiah, Mishael, v'Azariah. Pei is always Perashat Vaera, Rashi learns the Gemara. Ma ra'u shelo darshu v'chai b'hem v'lo she'amut b'hem. So let's make it clear before we continue. If a guy comes to me today, here is a cheeseburger, it's a gun, unless you take a bite from the cheeseburger, not a bite, that's a kazak of the cheeseburger, I'm killing you, I have to eat. With the bracha, yes? Why? Because this is not one of the three cardinal sins. So remember, the pasuk v'chai ba'em is telling us that an ordinary averot, if the choice is your life or the avera, save your life. Your life is more important.
Rabbi, you said you say beracha?
That's the part normally. Because when you eat unkosher food, you're not supposed to say beracha.
No, so I'm saying if a
No,
person
but
is
remember,
choking,
if someone is trying to kill you, and you're eating the cheeseburger to save your life, for you, the cheeseburger is the matzah that you pay $20 for the matzah.
right? But if a person has something caught in their throat, right, they
That's
can
the
drink
issue.
water.
The issue is, even now, something that you really enjoy, every time you see the commercial with the cheese dripping over the burger when you want, your wife said, "Mary, she would like to taste it once."
But what if
Rabbi
like,
Tzfar, can you put down the Gemara? It's hard to hear.
No, Jack is asking, why did I say you have to say a bracha? The reason I said it, because the Shulchan Aruch said, we follow the Rambam. If your life is in danger and you eat non-kosher, you have to make a bracha because you are enjoying the food. Why did it
You're getting
no, I
nourishment.
feel like if a person is eating and they have something caught, they
Why
drink water.
are you comparing it to?
That's what it could, because the same thing. You're not
Again,
eating
I'm
it
walking-
because you
I'm-
want to
I'm
eat
walking-
it. You're eating it to save your life. So
I'm
you're drinking
walking
water.
up Fifth Avenue, a guy comes to me with a gun. Here is a gun, here is a cheeseburger. Eat it now, if not, I'll shoot you. I happen to go, I'm on my way to eat lunch. I'm very hungry.
I don't think anyone. Okay, it's my.
Anyone would.
I don't think I would enjoy that.
No, you wouldn't
burger.
enjoy it because you'll be under the.
That's exactly
Yeah.
the reason why I wouldn't say the beracha.
My brother was in the army.
Right.
He was in the reserve. He went with a couple of Syrians, and they were there for weeks. They couldn't eat anything. But one day, one of the SYs spoke down. He had the stuffed peppers. He said, "It's like my mother's." He ate it. I asked, "Say beracha." It's getting nourishment, no? He couldn't eat.
That's not the same.
The question
No,
is it
what
mabus?
he's saying is, he believes that if someone will eat a cheeseburger because of a gun pointed to him,
Oh,
it would be so disgusting. So
oh. I thought the question is that is it
He's not-
mabus to
He's
Hashem?
not saying that
He's
it's
saying
destroyed.
it's
The problem is that he's in a situation where he feels bad that he even eats. It's not a good feeling for him.
I think it's a bigger Kiddush Hashem if he makes the bracha when the guy has a gun on his head.
What if the guy says amen?
Oh, it's also interesting. There are a million brachot today that we don't worry about. This is the one we're worried about. It's fascinating.
Safot, maybe tomorrow, but we have to bring really the Shulchan Aruch and the Rambam inside. It's a machloket rishonim. The Ravad that you do. The Ravad says no, but the Halacha in Shulchan Aruch we have to make the bracha.
Doesn't somebody say it's mabus to Hashem? This cheeseburger. That's why you don't say.
The ma'us is when it comes to kurban. This is different. Look at the Safot now. So again, according to Rashi, the discussion is, why didn't Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah decide to save their lives? And remember, they were very distinguished people at that time in Babel. Instead of dying for this idol of Nebuchadnezzar. And the Gemara tells us they learned Kal Vachomer for Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. V'kasher, the Safot are wondering, please listen to me. This was in public. Remember, in public meeting there were tens of thousands of people. What?
Wasn't Mordecai when he was asked to bow in public also?
But this was to a man. Here we're talking, the text says that this was a huge idol, and tens of thousands of people came. This was in a special party. And the question is, this is public. וכאשר דעה בפרהסיה, והוא מסכינן ב-conclusion לגמרא in סנהדרין, ולכולי עלמא, בפרהסיה חייב למסור עצמו, אפילו המצווה קרה. Which means, even if it's not a real idol,
Right, it wasn't
it's anything. If in public you are forced to do an Aveira, you have to give your life. ומפרש רבנו תם, remember, the assumption now is this was Avodah Zarah. So the question is, even if he is forcing you to eat non-kosher, he's forcing you to light a cigarette, if it's in public, you have to give your life. So listen to the Safot. The Safot are answering, Omer Rabbeinu Tam, there are two answers, and this question is being repeated in many places. ומפרש רבנו תם, לצלם זה, this particular idol שעשה נבוכדנצר, לאו עבודה זרה. This was not, he did not look at it or present it to the people as an idol that has powers. אלא אינדרת שעשה לכבוד עצמו. He did it simply to, I mean, if you remember in Japan, everyone has to bow down, you show respect to the Caesar. The emperor, yes, here, he just wanted, ולקח כאמר, מה ראו? מה ראו means, save your life, וכן משמע, and רבנו תם is supporting his opinion. Maybe tomorrow we'll read the text. I mean, look here, וכן משמע, מדכתיב, this is the text in Sefer Ezra, they telling Nebuchadnezzar, Le'elohach, le'tanachna palchil. To your God, we would not bow down. U'letzelem, and to the idol of gold, lo nisgod. You hear this? They are telling him, to your real idol, we would not. And to this particular gold idol, what are they giving two answers? If this idol was real Avodah Zarah, then you have to tell him, to your idol not. The fact that they are giving him, this is text, remember, this is text, this is what they tell him. So the language, the language shows that this was not.
But there's an argument that it was maybe because you could say
We'll
that
see
in Purim time, when they were said, why would they punish all of Am Yisrael? They say because they bowed down to the idol of Nebuchadnezzar.
Eli remembers the Gemara in Masechet Megillah, that the Gemara says in Masechet Megillah that the decree against the Jews was all those who did bow down. We'll see in a minute. Let's finish with the Safot. ולקח כאמר, מה ראו, וכן משמע, again, מדכתיב ואלהך, לתנחנה פלחים, ולצלם דדעה ולא נסגוד, משמע, the Elohadi day, his idol, Betzalma, and this particular gold, whatever it was, fine. So remember, answer number one is, this was not a real Avodah Zarah. So now the real question is going to be, so why did they, what did they give their life for?
Yeah, what was the problem?
So what was it, what are you letting yourself being thrown to felons? The man says, this is by bowing to this idol, you show respect to me. Do it.
Is it an Aveira Kala in some way?
That's
It's
it.
not Avodah Zarah, but
But
there's
this
some
is the
Aveira.
question, the question is how to fine. What is it? We'll see in a minute. Tosafot are bringing another very famous Gemara. This is really where this topic is being discussed the most. V'atenami Shapir habe amrina be'elu na'arot. The Gemara in Ketubot says this famous regarding this incident. Ilmalei nagde v'Chananya, Mishael v'Azariah palchu letzalma. Which means, had Nebuchadnezzar choose not to throw them into a furnace of fire, but to beat them non-stop, they would have done it. They would have bowed down. It's very famous. Which the Gemara wants to show that physical punishment, beating you non-stop, is much harder to extend. I mean, this is very famous. For instance, using the examples of the Bible. Everyone wondering, David, who had the bigger test, Abraham Avinu or Yitzchak? By Akedat Yitzchak, yes. Abraham Avinu is willing to sacrifice his son.
He has to live with
And
it.
his son.
Abraham has to live with it after.
No, Hashem told him.
No. You are Jojo is saying Yitzchak had to say yes, and after 5 minutes it's over. Abraham for the rest of his life has to live with. This is what the Gemara is saying here by Hananiah, Mishael, v'Azariah. Yes, Hananiah, Mishael, v'Azariah. It's very easy to say, okay, we are ready to die. I mean, not very easy, but day after day to beat you and to take it, it's very difficult. Now wants to show, okay. So Tosafot are saying, if this idol was a real idol, labeled Avodah Zarah, Chas v'Shalom, שהיו משתחווים לו, how could the Gemara say that Het Hananiah and Mishael v'Azariah suffered daily beating? They would have done it if it's Avodah Zarah. They would never. Please remember that Hananiah, Mishael v'Azariah, and Daniel, Chagai, Zechariah, Malachi were the biggest people at that time in Babel. They would bow down to Avodah Zarah. Of course, they wouldn't.
No, but we learned somewhere that torture is worse, that even in torture, you're allowed
this
to.
is the Gemara, so remember, Rabbeinu Tam is saying, I am bringing another proof. This was not a real Avodah Zarah, because if it's torture, this is the Gemara in Ketubot. This is the Gemara. Whatever you learn, it starts with this Gemara in Ketubot. But they would have done it. If it's Avodah Zarah, the Safot said they wouldn't have done it. If you say that for some reason they wanted to make a statement here, fine. They wouldn't be able to make the statement if they are suffering daily. Fine. Umiu, Lashon palchu in Aramaic is it's a phrase being used when you are worshiping Hashem or Avdir Avodah Zarah. Fine. So this is one interpretation. And the question now is, if this is so, why did they want to give their life? So for what are they giving their life? So let's look a second. Leave this open a minute.
Are they permitted to give their life?
Right. Here's the question.
Why are they doing it? Are they allowed? Maybe it's like a deal like suicide.
They told us it was a Kiddush Hashem somewhere.
So this is the question. So Eli is saying there was some type of Kiddush Hashem. Kiddush Hashem of what?
So maybe if it was not Avodah Zarah, maybe some might be Rakala.
The Ramban, he says, by most people, remember we're talking about the name of the place was Bikat Beitura, a certain valley. You have tens of thousands of people. By them, it looks like an idol. So even though halachically, if you want black and white,
appears to be.
But so this is what Eli is saying. He says that perhaps this is what they had in mind. But
also, Rabbi, is it possible that each of these people, there's such high esteemed people that themselves, if we're just two everyday people in the street, it doesn't mean so much. But this is the epitome, is like the president or the king.
Rani is saying that perhaps
Special statement.
Of course, there is an opinion like Rani, we'll see it in a minute. He said that selected people, and you see in Gemara and many Gemarot, Please open Larry in Perek Hey, Rambam Mada, Perek Hey מיסודי התורה. Perek Hey, ספר מדע. The first topic is מיסודי התורה.
First time.
Play lava.
You open it straight there, yeah?
Play the lava.
First. Oh, I don't know.
You know,
Okay.
one of the famous Ashkenazi rabbis in Europe was Rabbi Kochon. The fellow that wrote his biography was a special man, and he writes, it took him years to realize this is a rabbi. He says every book that he ever opened to the page.
Oh, wow.
No, but here's the point. You know, we look at it, well, how would you interpret it? Say, yeah, Bayas is a Baba now. Yeah.
You didn't have to waste time.
He's here. Hashem valued every 5 seconds of this mind. And why should you waste 5 minutes, 5 seconds to look?
I have it a lot with something, going to do some Hesed mission, and you find a parking spot right in front.
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
There's no
I take it as a
question.
gift, I take it as a gift.
Yeah, it's a gift.
Another circle for 20 minutes, you can get it done.
It's definitely a gift.
Always says, thank you, Hashem.
Yeah, for sure.
Doesn't say, never mind, I found the spot on my own.
Now listen a second to the Rambam's opinion. Remember, so we mentioned maybe it's not Avodah Zarah, but they chose to do it. Rani mentioned it. Let's see. Look at Halakha Dalet. Halakha Dalet. Perek Hey, Halakha Dalet. Yes? Perek Hey, Halakha Dalet. This is very famous, the Rambam's opinion. And believe it or not, the Shulchan Aruch doesn't follow him here. Kol mi shene'emar bo, ya'avor velo ya'areg. But let's be very practical. 2 thugs on a Harley Davidson are coming on Shabbat, okay, with guns. Here is a cigarette, light the cigarette. This is, otherwise, ya'avor velo ya'areg, do it, save your life. Says Rambam, what happens if you want to be a macho? I'm not doing it. כל מי שנאמר בו יעבור ולא יערב, ונהרג ולא עבר. He chose to be killed, not to do. According to Rambam, הרי זה מתחייב בנפשו. According to Rambam, it's an עבירה לגמרי.
It's not his right to do so.
If the halakha tells you to save your life, save your life.
Yeah.
Okay, then he says the opposite, of course. וכל מי שנאמר בו יהרג ולא יעבור. But in those instances where you have to give your life, ונהרג ולא עבר, הרי זה קדש את השם, ואם היה, listen good now, please listen good, ואם היה בעשרה מישראל, and if you're doing it in front of 10 Jews, הרי זה קדש השם ברבים. Remember, bias the concept, קידוש השם is always with goyim. קידוש השם begins and ends with Jews, not non-Jews. Of course, it's also by non-Jews. כדניאל, חנניה, מישאל ועזריה. The Rambam is using this as an example, on where you have to do it. Like. So the Rambam certainly understood, not like Tosafot. Tosafot is saying this was not Avodah Zarah. Rambam is using it as a prime example. If a person is doing it in front of 10 people, Arezi Kedesh Hashem Barabim is using Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah. We'll come back to this. But
we're saying then that they did something wrong because they shouldn't have done it according to the Rambam?
Rambam openly is using them as an example how you're doing something very positive and correct. So I'm showing that the Rambam did not learn like Tosafot.
Learn it like Tosfot, okay.
If it's not Avodah Zarah, why is the Rambam using what they did as a prime example of someone that's Mekadesh Hashem Barabim, yes?
But it sounds like it's such a big thing. How could there be discrepancy between the Tosfot and Rambam, which seems to be...
Why? Because this Gemara is the problem. The Gemara we began. Why do they have to be inspired by the frogs of this week's parasha? If it's a clear case, this is the halakha. Ma ra'u Hananiah, Mishael, v'Azariah. They did it because of. Now, to make it easier on you, the Gemara is still open. Look at the end of Tosfot. Go back to the Gemara. V'ri mefaresh here. מה ראו שלא ברחו, שהרי קודם המעשה היו יכולים לברוח.
Like didn't Daniel?
כמו,
was he English?
good, אילי, good, כמו שעשה דניאל, כדאמר בפרק חלק. Here, רבינו תם understood מה ראו, why did they choose to die and not to save their life. The Safot are saying, מה ראו, remember this decree of Nebuchadnezzar was not against the Jews only. Every nation has to be. So weeks and weeks, you send messages to all over, you have to be on this and this date and this place. They should have disappeared.
So
he understand, he learns the Gemara totally different.
is that, are they really discussing what does Ma'ra'u mean, basically?
Exactly. Ma'ra'u, and they did not save their lives. How? Bowing down and saving your life, or Ma'ra'u, why did they come there? If you learn the text, it's fascinating. Daniel was too precious to the Nebuchadnezzar, because Nebuchadnezzar looked on him as a man with a godly powers, because he interpreted certain dreams to him that no one knew, the same as yourself.
You want to say they volunteered themselves into the situation to kill themselves, like the frogs who jumped purposely into the
But the frogs don't have the ability. I mean, it doesn't.
We'll come back to
The frogs are a bad example. I mean, I think it's a bad example.
Look now, in the case of Mishnah, go back to the Rambam. So remember again, Rambam's opinion. If you're going, this is Perek you're getting stuck in the case of you have access to the case of Mishnah.
No, so I have this now.
So look at the case of Mishnah. Sover Rabbeinu, the Rambam's opinion, שכשאמרו בגמרא יעבור ולא ייהרג, when the Gemara tells you that, let's say, a guy wants to force you to eat a cheeseburger or to strike a cigarette, יעבור ולא ייהרג, learns Rambam, פירוש, צריך לעבור, כדי שלא ייהרג, which means you're commanded to do the Aveira to save your life. אבל, says the case of Mishnah, אבל, שלמים וכן רבים, many disagree with the Rambam, סוברים, שאם נהרג ולא עבר, צדקה תחשב לו. If he decided to die and not to save his life by the cheeseburger or striking a light on Shabbat, צדקה, it's a mitzvah. ונראה שמפרשים יידיש, יעבור ולא ייהרג means you have permission to save your life, not you're obligated. So here you have the core of the argument now, Rambam and all the Rishonim. I have Avodah Zarah, you leave it here tomorrow, we see it inside. תוספות עם מסכת עבודה זרה, דלמוקי יוסף, the Ran say, יעבור ולא ייהרג means you have an option to save your life. You're not commanded. Rambam understood, you're commanded. Continue. וכתב בנימוקי יוסף, now listen to this now, this is really what Rani said. וכתב בנימוקי יוסף, נימוקי יוסף is a commentator on the Rif in certain מסכתות, ואפילו לפי סברת רבינו, even if you take the Rambam's position, that you must save your life, must. אם הוא אדם גדול וחסיד ירא שמיים, famous man, we did inside, yeah. ירא שמיים ורואה שהדור פרוץ בכך, and he realizes that people are not very careful about this particular עבירה, רשאי לקדש את השם ולמסור עצמו אפילו על מצווה קלה. If you take this, listen carefully what you say. I mean, let's.
It's almost like the Mikoshesh, according to the opinion.
Eli is using the example. The Koshesh saw that after the Chet HaEgel, when everyone knew that we are not going to enter Israel, people took the mitzvot very light. So the Mekoshesh purposely did something to be executed to teach a lesson. You're crazy. No, I mean,
He did,
but this is exactly what he is saying. He is saying, if you understand what he is saying, and you read Jewish history beginning from the Crusades, to understand what he's saying, yes? Selected people on top are doing sometimes certain things to send a message to others.
So the Rambam doesn't hold like that, right?
Wait, here's the point. The Rambam is talking to me and you and to 99.999 of the Jewish people. According to him now, if you take this, perhaps Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah were at this level. Because tomorrow we are going to see in Sefer Ezra, or Nehemiah, I think it's Nehemiah, that the masses of the people didn't know what to do.
And what was the Avera?
Those people, Eli is saying,
If
was
you
the
take that
Avera?
opinion,
Make
what's
like the Ramban, yes, to make a
that it
statement.
was not of a
The
doctor.
kavod of Hashem, the kavod of Hashem is more important to us. Look what he said. כדי שיראו העם ולמדו ליראה את השם ולאהבו בכל ליבם. I mean, if you see a great man doing it and he's not obligated, the message that you internalize. Now, believe it or not, I have to leave, but I'll read you the Shulchan Aruch before I leave. But tomorrow we'll start Masechet Avodah Zarah. The Shulchan Aruch, Larry, I'm leaving in a minute, but you can look there. But look at Shulchan Aruch, Siman Kuf Nun Zayin. Yored De'ah 157. Says Tishma Zepele. Normally the Shulchan Aruch always follows the Rambam. This is what you said here. If you understand the case of Mishneh and the Shulchan Aruch, this is what he gave us this introduction. This is what he says.
Why is it a Pele if he doesn't follow the Rambam?
No,
I mean,
no,
usually
no,
it's 2 out of 3.
The Rambam
or
is a heavyweight.
No, I understand, but usually I mean.
So look what he says. Shulchan Aruch says in 157, Kol averot shebatorah, except the big cardinal sins, אם אומרים לו לאדם, you're facing the choice, do the avera or being killed, if it's privately, יעבור ולא יערב. Good? סיגרת השבת. ואם ירצה אילאי להחמיר על עצמו ולהרג רשאי. Shulchan Aruch says openly here, if you choose, he's not talking about Moshe Feinstein, he's not talking about Rav Kotler. Even say any Jew. Tomorrow we'll go into the details.
Well, that's why the Lashon of the Rambam seems interesting. And Allah Aleph, he doesn't say Nashim, Vavadim, he says
Kol Bet
Israel.
Israel. This is a very famous question. Why did he write Kol Bet Israel? Talking to the masses of people. I'll see you tonight.
I hope so. Have a great. Let's only hear good news in Eretz Israel, Rabbi Prague.
But what?
Let's only hear good news in Eretz Israel. What a day yesterday.
Yeah.
Right.